Hello, and welcome back to the No Notes Podcast. I'm JD.
And I'm Morgan.
And today we are back with an episode I am really excited about. Morgan, how has your year been so far? It's 2024, it's a new year.
It's 2024. I'm feeling good.
Yeah?
2024. All of our predictions are going to come real.
True.
Watch our last episode.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're holding on to any extra tension, coming in? There's that Christmas hangover and there might be some. Do you feel like you're hanging on to anything extra?
I'm always hanging on to something extra.
Okay. I kind of agree. Mm-hmm. It's a new year, getting into a new routine.
Yeah.
I think what we need to do in today's episode is really just release some of these tensions we're feeling.
Yeah.
And so to do that...
Well, how are we going to do that, Jamie?
I'm so glad you asked. We're going to be doing the first ever No Notes Take Purge. This is a concept that was first introduced to me on the Ringer Fantasy Football show, which I'm obsessed with fantasy football, if you didn't know. And so this is my favorite show to listen to, get all my fantasy advice from there. If you play fantasy and you aren't in a league with me, I recommend you listening to them. If you aren't in a league with me, don't listen to them. That's where I get my advice from. But every year at the beginning of the fantasy football season, they have an hour where all of their takes, they can just get them off their chest, release all of the things they've been building up. And because it's the Take Purge, like the movie The Purge,
of course,
there's no journalistic credibility attached. And so we're going to adapt that for our purposes. We're going to have 20 minutes where we can get all of our takes out. All of the things that we hold on to that we don't want people in our audience to know, that we don't want our friends to know, that we think about movies or things in the movie world.
Yes.
We are going to get them off our chest. And so for 20 minutes, we are going to be completely protected. All right? There is no journalistic or whatever we are, integrity latched onto this. Okay? We are completely protected. We cannot be held accountable for the takes that we are going to give.
Amazing. As all takes should be.
Yes. So we're going to get to say whatever it is we want about movies. That can be anything connected to movie world. It can be about actors. It can be about studios. It can be about a franchise. It could be about something that we don't want to see in the movie world. Yeah. And so once we start the timer, it's The Purge. It begins. I've never actually seen The Purge. But
it's amazing. My first take.
But for 20 minutes, completely protected, all of our takes out the way.
Great.
So I think without any further ado, let's get to the takes.
Amazing. Let's start a timer.
Our time will begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Boom. 20 minutes.
My first take. I have to get this off my chest. Star Wars is cooked. Okay? It's over. Mm-hmm. It's never been more over than it is right now. All right? Star Wars, it's done. Hang up your hat. All right, you have one good thing. It's Andor. It's a TV show. It's not even a movie.
Whoa.
Everything that they have tried to do has not gotten off the ground. They keep attaching directors and actors to these projects.
Yeah.
Maybe they get turned into a miniseries. Maybe they just completely disappear. I don't know. But you know what? I used to love Star Wars, okay? I was a huge Star Wars fan. I was a huge nerd, defender of Star Wars, but I think it's over. They keep trying to get stuff off the ground, and none of it is coming together. And at this point, I'm just losing interest. Everything they've made that isn't Andor, to me, has not been very good. All right?
Was Andor the most recent or
It's one of the more recent.
Okay.
It's one of the more recent TV projects they've done.
Gotcha.
And it was great. But all of their movies, Rogue One was okay, but that was the same creative people who made Andor.
That's what I was going to say. I was Rogue One is my Andor. I love that movie. I think it's incredible.
So Rogue One, the people who made Andor made Rogue One.
Okay,
so,
okay.
It's the same creative team, and Andor is even better in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But also, it's a TV show and it's a movie podcast. Okay, they've made one good movie in the last 10 years, 20 years, 15 years. I'm not sure how long it's been, but the prequels to me not very good. The sequels to me not very good. The solo movie, I don't know. And every movie they keep trying to make is not coming together. I think it's over. I think they should just hang up their hats, let it sit for another 15 or 20 years before you try to make more. I think it's cooked.
Wow. Also, to make the Star Wars people mad, why we're already here. I think that Star Wars has never been good. I think it is objectively pretty bad.
Really?
I won't go into it too deeply, but I have a lot of reasons for this. I have gone back and watched these multiple times. I have watched scenes that people say are like some of the greatest fighting scenes, and I'm like, every single one of them are like objectively do things wrong. And like not in a fun artsy way. Like they're just bad. Everything about them is bad. And on top of that, Star Trek is objectively amazing. Not every single thing Star Trek has ever made, but as a whole, as a series, Star Trek has always been better than Star Wars.
I think Heat is super overrated. This is, I don't know, you know what Heat is, right?
I do. I've seen this movie. I had an ex who loved this film. It's the reason I watched it. Did not enjoy it.
Was said X a big film bro?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. I think that's a category that I tend to fall into, film bro. You know, but Heat is like a crime movie. I love crime movies. Heat has Al Pacino and Robert De Niro and Val Kilmer.
It's got everything going for it.
It's got everything going for it. And I watch this movie and I feel nothing. I am like bored out of my mind, dude. It's like 3 hours, and I typically love 3-hour crime movies. Okay, like I'll sit there for all of Killers of the Flower Moon any day, right? And that's like way more dramatic. Heat, I don't know. Like everyone's like, oh, it's got all this tension. It's got all this crazy creative action. It's got some of the greatest actors of their generation going face to face. And the entire time, I just find myself so bored by what's going on. Yeah. I don't know. Do you agree?
I'm maybe not as intensely against it. I do, like, I would probably never watch it again, but I enjoyed, like, the one time I watched it. I do think it's one of those movies that, like, takes so long, and then, like, right when I watched it, I was like, that was worth it. The end was worth it. And then, like, the next day, I slept on it, woke back up, and I was like, I hate that I watched that movie.
I feel like it might have been the fact I think I had too high expectations maybe going into it.
Yeah, because why shouldn't you?
Because I'm like, oh, it's this like a great director.
Yeah.
It's Michael Mann, who's made Collateral and a bunch of other really good movies, I'm sure, that I have only seen Collateral. And I understand, like, it has this reputation for being one of the great crime movies, and it has all these good actors, and it spends a lot of time kind of going into the characters, but like Al Pacino's marriage is falling apart, and Robert De Niro's kind of flirting with this girl, but then he's not really very good to her, and it does all this relationship-y stuff that I have such a hard time getting on board with. And then when we do get into the crime stuff, it just feels like there's not the juice there. Like in Goodfellas, there's the juice, right? In like The Godfather, there's the juice to me. Yeah. Like he just doesn't have the juice. And I don't know if I'm crazy or if I had too high expectations, but to me, it's just not. It's not it.
Cool. Piggybacking off of movies that are great, that are also actually terrible, I'm going to go into my two ones that everyone's always mad at me for, but it doesn't matter because this is the Purge.
This is the Take Purge, right? We can't be held accountable for these. If you disagree, you can let us know in the comments if you disagree, but we can't be held accountable.
Yes. The original Blade Runner and Titanic are both films that are the two worst films ever created on the planet. I hate the original Blade Runner, and like I'm all for a film bro movie. I majored in visual effects, okay? I know it is like groundbreaking, but I don't care. It's bad. It's weird. It's like off-putting. Like the relationship aspect is very off-putting. I think the CG, even for its time and what it was doing, is not great. Like, I feel like there's better CG in so many films around that same time or before that looks so much better and do more with it. It feels like they tried to do so much and like missed on every single aspect. I hate that movie. The first time I watched it was in a visual effects history class. And I hated it just as much. I've seen it twice. I need to watch it again because it's been a cool minute, but like I need to rewatch it just so I can make sure that I hate it as much as I hate it, because I hate that movie.
So the thing about Blade Runner, right, is that there's 3 or 4 different versions.
Oh.
Ridley Scott, the director, he also made Alien and Gladiator.
Okay.
Super iconic guy.
Yeah.
Made a version, and then the studio was like, "No, we don't like that." So they kind of chopped it up, messed it up. They took out a lot of the ambiguity. Then Ridley Scott came back and made like his version that the studio was like, okay, well, we'll release this on DVD, not in theaters though.
Okay.
And then years later, Ridley Scott came back and was like, no, here's my actual version.
Even Ridley Scott doesn't think it's
Maybe I'm not doing any flavors for Blade Runner here.
He was like, we need to try this again. Not do it.
Well, because the studio was like, Ridley, you didn't do a good job. Ridley's like, I think I did a good job.
Yeah,
so then the studio was like, let us fix it for you, bro.
I don't like anything about it. It makes me feel icky.
This is such a... I've known this about you, and I've always thought this is a crazy thing, because Blade Runner is so iconic and so visually inventive, and I feel like the story is really interesting. It's another crime movie.
It's not.
Right. But you know what? I can't judge you for it. It's The Purge. It's legal. Titanic, though, is also... I've actually never seen Titanic, which might be a crazy thing to say.
What a waste of time that is. Yeah. There's so many better stories to tell around that shipwreck, and man, they chose the wrong one.
You don't like Leo and Kate Winslet falling in love? And
no, their love story is like Twilight level of like... They just like are in love because the script called for it, and that is literally it.
Okay. Fair.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've never seen it. I don't know if I ever will. I feel like I kind of have to at some point. It's like one of the most iconic movies of the last couple years.
I will say, if I go into it like, ooh, girls' night, like get some like fun little drinks and throw on Titanic, then like fun, I can enjoy it. But there's as a film, like I don't ever want to watch it again.
Okay. Fair enough. Speaking of things I never want to watch again, man, I know a lot of people are big defenders of this movie.
Oh no.
But the Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League is atrocious to me. It is actually... So, like, Zack Snyder had his vision for Justice League, had a family tragedy, had to pull out of the movie. Warner Brothers came in, replaced him with Joss Whedon. He made his own version of Justice League using some new footage and some of Zack Snyder's footage, and it's a really bad movie. It's like clearly a mismatch of tones, two directors who are not compatible, trying to make something happen, and it's terrible. And so Warner Brothers finally decides they're going to let Zack Snyder finish out his vision when he's able to come back to making movies. And you think, great, this guy's going to get to make the movie that he always originally wanted to make until he had to leave. Like, this should be awesome. This should be a guy who is actually getting to do something cool, creative, and finish out what seemed like the promise of a good movie that was totally messed up by a mismatch of directors and tones. No, it's terrible. Who let this man make a 4-hour movie? Okay, I like long movies generally. Like I said, Killers of the Flower Moon, I think is really good. But 4 hours... And
it's crazy.
Is crazy, all right? Like, that's a lot to ask of people. And I think if you're going to make a 4-hour movie, the least you could do is make it well-paced. And the Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League, to me, has a worse pacing than the original one, or than the one that was released in theaters. And it spends so much time focusing on the side characters. It feels kind of like, so I don't know if people know this, but when I was 16, I made a movie. It's 45 minutes. It's on YouTube. Don't watch it. But the reason it's 45 minutes is because I decided to use every minute of footage that we shot. Yeah. And it's terrible. And the tone doesn't work. It doesn't really play. And I think Zack Snyder made the 16-year-old Joshua Davis mistake of using every single minute of footage that he shot. Because it's 4 hours. And there's like 2 hours of story about like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman doing stuff. And then there's 2 hours of story about Cyborg's dad, Wonder Woman's mom, a bunch of CGI characters that are like talking about these boxes. And it's all stuff that is superfluous to the actual story, is like kind of world building, I guess, but it's boring and it's poorly paced and has such a dour tone, and I just did not enjoy myself watching it. And I think it's as bad for different reasons as the like Frankenstein collaboration. Wow. I appreciated that it got roasted in Barbie. I liked that.
Yeah. I don't watch DC, so I'm definitely never gonna watch.
You're not missing much.
Any of these. So, going off of a 4-hour long Zack Snyder cut, I think movies are too long
Yeah?
That's it. That's all I have to say. They're just too long. There were so many movies that came out this year that I wanted to see so bad. But I was like, I'm not gonna take 4 hours out of my Saturday to go watch this film. Like, make it 2 hours. I was all for two-parter kind of movies. Like, everyone was so mad whenever it was like Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, Mockingjay Part 1. Everything was a Part 1 and a Part 2.
Twilight Breaking Dawn.
Like, I will gladly go see a Part 1 and then a year later get excited again and see a Part 2 before I go watch a 3.5 hour film in the theaters. It's just like, you know, you gotta grow with the times. And the times, these are TikTok times, and I support that. And movies are just too long.
Okay. Stop making musical biopics, guys.
Ooh.
All right? We don't.
Wow.
need
I don't
to
agree
see
with
that.
this one at all.
Really? Oh.
I love a musical biopic.
I think they're so boring.
They are, but they work on me every time, dude. Every time I'm crying at that concert, see at the end, every single time.
Like, how many movies have you been to see in the last couple weeks, Morgan?
Ooh,
Like 2 or 3?
maybe, yeah.
So I've been to see like 5 or 6. I've been busy. I've been getting to the theater.
Uh-huh.
And every time I go, I'm greeted with the trailer for Bob Marley, One Love. And I just don't get it. I'm like, we had Whitney Houston, we had Freddie Mercury, we had Elvis with Austin Butler.
Yes.
And there's like a Bob Dylan one with Timothée Chalamet apparently in the works. And I'm
The
like,
guy with the glasses, the British guy.
yeah, Elton
John.
John. Elton John.
I couldn't think of his name.
There was Aretha Franklin, I think, and like I love me some Aretha Franklin.
Yeah.
I'm a human. I like I like Queen, but I just like seeing their life stories put to film in always the most like boring and routine ways. None of these movies, maybe Elvis being the exception, feel like they have a genuine like directorial or authorial voice.
Yeah.
It feels like they are directed in the most bland way by committee just to put out the most routine and entertaining product. They follow the same beats and we just keep getting more of them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I like the director who made the Bob Marley movie. I've seen a couple of things he's done and I think he's a talented director, but this trailer just does not inspire any confidence in me. I'm so uninterested in all of these. Like, I don't know, let me listen to the music. I don't really it's just I'm having a hard time caring.
Yeah.
And there's so many of them. They aren't stopping.
It's so valid, but I will watch every single one.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Well, when Bob Marley: One Love comes out, please let me know your thoughts.
Yeah.
But I'm out.
Talking about music, I'm trying to like segue into all of them for some reason. I think that almost every single thing is better as a musical. Which is
okay.
People hate musicals.
Yeah.
And with good reason, but like I think something bad can be made good being turned into a musical, and even something amazing can be made amazing as a musical. I just think like everything that I've ever seen adapted into a musical has been funnier, more entertaining, better well paced. Like it's just more fun to watch. It's like we did a whole musical episode. I won't go too into it, but it's like
Shout out our musical episode.
yes, you have all these different kinds of art, and the more you just shove into one thing, makes it better, makes it more entertaining. And maybe this is just showing that I have a really bad attention span, but I love a musical.
Have you seen the Mean Girls musical yet?
No, but I'm going to. I heard it's bad.
Original Mean Girls is better.
Yeah, I just feel like every single thing that they're remaking, like just make it a musical. Harry Potter musical, Twilight musical, like just make it happen.
I don't think they'd be opposed.
Like
the Joker sequel is going to be a musical.
Dude, especially like making fun of films. Like I know people don't. What are those called?
Like
parody.
parodies?
Yeah, people don't make parody
Satire,
films
yeah.
anymore. But if you gave me like a parody musical of Twilight, the people would go mad. Like it would be amazing.
Have you ever heard of Star Kid?
No.
So I actually have only seen one of these, but one of my good friends, Blake, shout out Blake, loves Star Kid. They do musical parodies of Harry Potter and Aladdin and a bunch of other like
Yes,
films.
they should, because everything's better as a musical.
Maybe you should check them out and see if your point can be proven, Morgan. This isn't super connected.
Okay. Doesn't need to be. We're purging.
You're right. Movies need to stop with these ambiguous titles. Okay?
Ooh.
Movie titles have gotten too plain, too boring.
Yeah.
I went to go see this movie the other day. It was so good. It was called Origin. It was like one of those AMC screen unseen things, just a surprise movie.
Interesting.
The movie comes out this weekend when we're recording this. But it was like an early screening, and it's an awesome movie about, it's like a biopic about an author that tracks her life and the writing process while she writes her book called Caste. And like about, you know, like the caste system in India. And so it's like an examination of all these really cool and interesting things. And it's also like, it's a biopic about this woman who's the real author of this real book as she writes it, and like all the trials that she went through in her personal life and her professional life to get this book written. And it's an amazing movie. And I was like, man, like this was like so cool and really well done. And I think people should definitely go see it if you're interested in something like that. And then it has a title called Origin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like Origin did not have much to do. Like, the movie kind of tries to tie it back to like the origins of racism or of like human dysfunction with other classes of people. But I just feel like the movie did not work very well to actually tie all these things in. And it has such a boring and ambiguous title. And I'm like, man, if you titled this movie something different, like The Origin of Our Discontents is the subtitle of the book. That's a movie title right there.
Yeah.
Origin of Our... I'm like, oh, this is so interesting. The Origin of Our Discontents. Just Origin is plain. It's boring.
Yeah.
In the last couple of years, we've had movies called Plane, which is about a plane. Go figure.
It.
Dog. We've had a dog. Mm-hmm. Okay, sure. And even like, we had Circle. There are like 6 movies called Circle. We had Sing. Boring title. We had a movie called Music.
Yeah.
All right.
A lot of one word.
A lot of one word, boring and ambiguous titles. Like, what are some of your favorite movies? Like, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Amazing.
What a title, man.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Even like, I don't know, Star Wars, kind of a banger title, even though the franchise is cooked. But like Asteroid City tells you a lot about the movie. It's kind of an interesting, super unique title. You know, Killers of the Flower Moon, The Holdovers, The Boy and the Heron. I'm just looking at my letterbox list from last year and seeing some great titles. But like, some of these titles, like as horror movies, are the worst about this. Like even great horror movies like Sinister. Ambiguous, boring title. Oh, something sinister's gonna happen. Might as well call it scary. Exactly. I think movies should be way more creative and ambitious with their titles.
Yeah.
I think when you're making something that's cool and original and artistic, like Origin, you should have a title that's more fitting of the artistic integrity and artistic quality of the movie than something that's just boring that isn't going to sell people.
And don't even get me started on posters.
Oh my gosh.
Films not telling the story at all.
That's such a great take, too. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to just see the actors in it. Like, we know who the actors are. Like, give me something from the film.
Give me some details, some things to latch onto or be excited about.
Yeah. Which,
don't just give me names.
They've gotten better, I think, in the past.
You're right. But there are still some
but,
really
yeah.
cool ones, right? The Madam Web poster, have you seen that?
Yeah.
Awful.
Everything about that looks
That looks awful. True. Okay. Next take.
I think that every single piece of media ever, including all movies, should be shown with subtitles at all times. We also did a whole episode about sub versus dub, and how I feel about subtitles. Man, I just think they make everything better, and everyone who complains about it just has not been exposed to it enough. And so I think we should just force everyone subtitles all the time on everything.
Wow.
That's it.
That's crazy. I think Jim Carrey should stop being a comedian and be a dramatic actor.
Ooh, not ouch.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind was on my mind because I have this take. I hate Jim Carrey as a comedian, dude. Dumb and Dumber.
It's
Ace Ventura, like,
okay, that doesn't mean it's bad.
I just don't find it funny. It is not my sense of humor whatsoever. I find it so obnoxious. Even like Sonic the Hedgehog. It was just Jim Carrey doing Jim Carrey stuff. Yeah. And it like had like one line. I saw that movie in theaters. I don't like Jim Carrey when he's trying to be silly, but when Jim Carrey's in The Truman Show and he's given like a serious actual performance, he's incredible. Yeah. When he's in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, He's incredible. The dude has legitimate acting chops, but he like throws it away on being silly and goofy, and I just don't get why people find him funny. But when he's giving a dramatic performance, bro, dude is killer.
I am very much, I know like most people agree with this, but I do believe that like comedy is the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
Especially in film. Like acting funny in a scene, I think is near impossible. So it makes sense that like every great comedic actor you see is also pretty good at dramatic acting. But Jim Carrey, I love that man. He's not... The comedy is aged. That's all I'll say. I'll let you keep the hot take on your side.
Yeah, it's the Take Purge, okay? You can't judge me for this.
Ooh.
I just don't. Jim Carrey's not funny to me. I like him as a dramatic actor, as a comedic actor, bro. Is not it?
Mine, we're taking it back a little bit. Pirates of the Caribbean, however you want to say it, is incredible. I think it makes no sense. I've seen those movies so many times. I think everyone has just convinced themselves that they understand the plot, and they don't. I think, like... And I've seen these films in order, like back to back as a marathon, I think 4 times in my lifetime. And I could not tell you the plot of a single one from start to finish. I have no idea what happens. No idea how it finishes. No idea. Like, I could probably tell you one person likes this person at the end and this person doesn't like this person at the end. But, like, they are so repetitive. The characters are so confusing. They're all like, they all have like 3 endings in 1 hour. And it just like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And if you think that you think they make sense, like, I want you to write down the plot without looking up anything. I want you to pull out a piece of paper and write down the plot of the Pirates of the Caribbean, because you can't, because they don't make sense. That is all.
Our timer went off as you were talking.
It did go off.
How do you feel?
I feel great.
I feel great too.
I feel like I have so many more like just coming up.
I know. I've thought of some as we were doing this. I was like, this is actually something I really want to get off my chest. Yeah. Okay, well, the Take Purge is over.
Wow.
We cannot be held liable for anything we said. I don't know. I feel like if someone said something about Jim Carrey, maybe like while we're doing that.
I don't remember.
I don't remember. Yeah, it's crazy how that happens.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What a triumph.
I love Star Wars and I want to see more of them. How do you feel? Do you feel lighter?
Yeah. I feel like we're going in new year, new no notes. 2024, light as a feather.
Light as a feather. Just this weight lifted off my chest.
Gosh.
If you liked something you heard and want to affirm what we said, then great.
Then in that way, we will be held accountable. As long as you agree.
If you disagree with one of our takes, feel free to let us know. Mm-hmm. Engage with us in the comments. You can find us on YouTube, find us on Instagram, TikTok. Both of us are on Letterboxd. Those are all going to be in the description of this video. But if you disagree with one of our takes, I mean, please feel free to let us know. Feel free to explain the plot of Pirates of the Caribbean. But just remember that, it was during the Purge. Yes. So we can't be held accountable for what we said. I don't know. And if you guys liked this and want to hear more of our wild takes, then also let us know. We could do this again, because I think we both have a lot more to say. We'll probably throw some up on TikTok. Yeah. Just to really get it out. Just if things we have to get out of the way. But yeah, that was the Take Purge. Like we said, find us. You can see us on video if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple, where you're used to listening to us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you're watching us on YouTube, find us on Spotify. Give us reviews, like this video, comment, subscribe, all the things, because that really helps us out. And if you liked this and want to hear more, come back in 2 weeks. We release an episode every other Wednesday. And so, I don't know. You have any last words, Morgan? Anything you want to say? That's it. On the record? No. Never on the record. And and there are definitely no notes either. Yeah, no notes. All right, well, thank you guys so much for listening, hearing these takes that we're not held accountable for. Mm-hmm. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.